let's get into it if you're ready. And then we'll kind of go into everything about your project and about you specifically. But first thing I got, kind of unrelated questions, breaking the ice a little bit. Eggs or French toast for breakfast? Which is it?
Do I have to pick one? Because normally
You gotta pick one.
I literally only eat my French toast with an egg on top.
Really? Okay, that's it. That's an interesting one.
That's how Grandma made it. So that's how it got eaten.
Awesome. All right. Comedy or action movies?
Probably prefer action.
Okay. Gotcha. Any specific type? Like, are you a Marvel fan? Is there something specific niche you're into?
Not really. I watched 12 Strong recently. Okay. I'm not sure if anybody's seen that. That one was interesting. I'm rewatching Lord of the Rings right now just because the Amazon Prime show came out, and I'm waiting for next Friday.
Yeah, I saw that coming out, and I was like, "Oh, this is going to be very, very interesting." Actually,
yeah, the Game of Thrones prequel came out too, and ironically, I thought I would have been watching that, but I haven't watched one of those. I've been not that I don't have time to watch a lot of stuff. Mm-hmm. So I'll watch like 20 or 30 minutes at the most, maybe every night. But I've been watching the Game of Thrones thing, and then now that I'm waiting until next Friday's episode, I just threw on Lord of the Rings.
For sure. So a big fantasy guy. I love it.
Yeah, sometimes. Yeah.
That's how I am. Are you more of an indoors or outdoors person?
Active outdoors for sure. Hiking, biking, running. I'm learning surfing right now, kite surfing.
Really? Okay, that sounds like fun. That's awesome. Do you live close to a beach then?
About 2.5 hour drive. So not close,
but close enough.
Yeah. I can make quick weekend trips. Don't have to fly.
Gotcha. Awesome. Validator. So now more crypto validator nodes or a mining rig?
Probably mining rigs.
Okay.
We've had some, I would say good times and bad times with some mining rig setups, but we've had more experience with those than validators.
Awesome. Proof of work or proof of stake?
Probably. I'm undecided on that, to be honest with you. I mean, I see the benefits of both. Mm-hmm. Both arguments. It kind of like my head. I can wrap my head around being in one community and being a maxi, and then I can go to the other one. And I'm pretty diversified as a crazy person in my head.
Gotcha. Fair enough. Are you more of a DeFi person or someone that invests into blue chips?
I'm not a flipper on things.
Okay.
There's like a very small amount, like a percentage of the portfolio where I can put into something that's risky. I'm still probably not flipping it. So I'd say, when you use the term blue chip, most people would refer to that more as like a safe haven for capital, or something that was a bit more stabilized, right? Like less volatile, hopefully. But yeah, coming from the commercial real estate background, I would say that I'm kind of like just ingrained with making, educated, calculated decisions and then watching it play out. So
gotcha.
Again, going back to the crazy person, I'm in the NFT space with projects that I plan on holding longer than 1 month before freaking out.
Yeah, gotcha. Love it. I feel you there. Are you more into stocks or crypto? Do you have more money invested into stocks or crypto?
I and most of my team are probably commercial real estate and crypto. 80 to 90% of our portfolio.
Okay, gotcha. So less on the stock side, and then I guess crypto or real estate's that next question. This one would be the tougher one, I think. I would think, at least.
I mean, our day job has been commercial real estate investments for 10, 15 years, right? So that's our bread and butter. But our night gig and passion has been crypto. So what we're building right now is kind of like a 24-hour job that's merging together. So night becomes day becomes night. So I don't really have an answer for that one because we look for we're trying to merge both.
Yep. I love it. And these are a little bit more challenging, more just the intro to what you guys are doing. And then I guess when you're looking at real estate, are you looking more at residential or commercial properties?
In 15 years, I have only ever sold Well, I've only ever sold one residential property,
Okay.
and I mean, over $1 billion in commercial real estate investment assets. So commercial real estate for sure.
Definitely commercial.
Mm-hmm.
Got it. Got it. Love it. I love to hear it. And then kind of open-ended question, but if you could go back in time and meet with one person during any time period, who would it be and why?
Um,
You need a second. Go ahead.
yeah, no, I don't know. I don't know. Yeah,
Anyone?
I have no idea. I don't really
Okay.
like. I don't know. Yeah, that's a tough one.
Yeah, definitely. Definitely a
I have no
tougher.
regret. I have no regrets that they've died, whoever they are, because I never met them before.
Mhm.
So I guess I'd be more interested in meeting people today.
If that was the
You
case, who
know,
would it be?
you know, I'm a big learner of high performance techniques, tactics, and drivers.
Mhm.
So, you know, there's a podcast by Michael Gervais who interviews the elite of the elite regarding like performance. And that could be somebody that's like in a C suite or C level position within a Fortune 500 company. It could be the owner of, it could be Richard Branson. It could
Mhm.
be athletes at the Olympics or for different sports teams. I mean, every one of them have a lot of things in common.
Mhm.
Now that I'm kind of running through this, Kobe Bryant would probably be one that I
Mhm.
would have wanted to meet. I had actually planned before he passed away because if I remember correctly, he had planned. Well, he didn't plan. He was getting inducted into the Hall of Fame in Springfield,
Mhm.
Illinois, for the Basketball Hall of Fame, and he passed away earlier that year in the helicopter crash. But I had tickets where my wife and I were planning to go up there. I had a rookie card for Kobe Bryant. I've read his books, watched his
Mhm.
games. And like I think I have a lot in common as far as like drivers and having this really like competitiveness to me back that was just ingrained in me from my when I used to play sports growing up. So probably him to answer the question.
Gotcha. That's sweet. That's a really good answer to that question. I
I
love
mean,
to
I have
hear
his.
it.
I literally just walked past it. I've got his picture in my office with his autograph. I literally
Really?
walked past it 3 times before I was like, "Oh, wait a minute, him."
Gotcha, gotcha. Awesome, awesome. All right. Well, that's most of what we got for the polls, but kind of moving forward, if you want to give a quick intro on who you are, what your experience is, because I know you have a load of it in your respective field, and we can go from there.
Yeah, sure. So my name is Josh, and I'm based out of Texas in the U.S. I'm not sure like the demographic of Cardinal House, but the majority of our team is U.S. based in Texas and in L.A., California, Los Angeles. We all are partners and own a commercial real estate investment company.
Mhm.
And majority of us have been involved in the crypto space in some way, form, or fashion, either in pre-seed investments, buying and trading coins, all the way through NFTs becoming a technology, and then investing in NFTs and holding those. So since 2016, I've started a tech company in the past. I've invested in some tech companies. We own commercial real estate investment assets, and so you kind of have like this variety of expertise that we have on our team here. The majority of us are between 28 to 38 years old, so we're not all in
Mhm.
our 60s and 50s. We're younger, so I guess technology adoption is something that we're used to. We adopt things quickly, and that's one of the reasons when we built our commercial real estate services firm that we were always planning on building tech and incorporating it in some way, form, or fashion. And traditionally, what you have in our space is you'll have individual agents or individual investors. You know, they can grow funds, partner with capital, and become investors and buy more deals. So at a crossroads about a year and a half ago, internally, we just talked about, do we want to start creating something that would end up being a traditional fund? Or is there something bigger that we can build utilizing some of the vision that I have and then some of the tech direction that we wanted to incorporate in our business. Is there a bigger idea? Are we thinking too small? And so, and here we are, RWA Labs and Real Estate Tycoons NFT project. We feel like we have a vision of how to merge both our commercial real estate business along with creating something that could potentially be, relatively bigger in size than just us doing it on our own. So building something bigger than ourselves through community.
Yeah, I love to hear it. And I think that your experience kind of speaks for itself and what you guys have all been doing. Can I ask how many different team members do you have that you've been working with, from the real estate side coming into crypto now?
There's 5 of us.
Okay.
There's 5 of us that are full-time.
Yeah. And I feel like I have at least I've seen it because I grew up in LA and now I'm in Dallas. So I know that those are 2 very big areas when it comes to real estate in general. But do you want to go through a little bit on why you guys chose those 2 areas as, Texas in general? I don't know if it is the Dallas area or some other metroplex, but why you chose,
we're down in Central Texas, so Austin and San
Awesome.
Antonio. Although we just
Okay.
did a deal in Dallas.
Okay.
about 2 months ago.
That's great. So why those 2 places specifically? And is that going to have any connection to the different pieces that you guys are doing with Real Estate Tycoon?
Our Texas-based team is all from Texas. We're all from San Antonio, Austin area.
Okay.
And we have an office in LA as well. And our LA office is partnered with one of our clients that we've partnered with and done a lot of deals with. It's their family, their children that have grown up, and then I became close friends with it's kind of like a legacy thing. The first generation I was doing deals with, partnered with, friends with, and then the second generation has grown up, and we just brought him onto the team, trained him, and we've been, as a team, just continuing to grow. So we didn't really select the markets. We're just blessed to be in Texas. And then that's one of our specialties, is bringing capital from businesses and investors' capital to Central Texas. There's a lot of competitive advantages to, if you've got a warehouse and you're operating your business in California, like Los Angeles, for example, coming down to San Antonio, you're going to have less taxes, right? There's no state income taxes here. Our rental rates are far less. A lot of them, it's worth the moving costs if they don't have to be there day to day in the business, because most of them don't want to give up their LA lifestyle.
Yeah, for sure. Definitely understand that piece. It is much cheaper to live in Texas than it is to live in LA. To state that very, very simply. And yeah, so I love the experience you guys come into it with, all based kind of out of a similar area. Did you guys approach this from hey, we are all working together in Texas, let's go into LA, let's kind of do that, and then crypto kind of came later? Or was the meeting in LA just a completely different separate event?
No, we were all working our commercial real estate business and growing.
Gotcha.
We didn't come across, we didn't meet each other through crypto. We met each other and have been growing our businesses, working as a team in commercial real estate.
Starting in Texas all together and then moving to LA, as a group.
Yep.
Gotcha. I love it. Awesome. And so I'm sure everyone realizes that they have a lot of years of experience behind them. And I'm kind of curious how that's played into now what you guys are developing with Real Estate Tycoon, because you have a very interesting and unique product, not necessarily just a product, but a unique way of going about things, bringing, including the metaverse, including, other aspects that you guys are kind of bringing. Do you want to kind of start on the 10,000 foot view, and then we can dive a little bit deeper on Real Estate Tycoons?
Yeah. So I'll start with something that before we even jumped in, we were kind of like alluding to. So there's this big difference between traditional business and Web 2 businesses and Web 3 businesses. So the community aspect behind NFTs is something that has just really excited us. We own NFTs. We're a part of certain communities where we've helped, some that were, lurkers in the background as well. But overall, we could see the difference between being front facing versus being kind of like in the middle of a circle and having like this community of people kind of grow, like a ripple effect, almost like in a lake if you drop a pebble, and how big something could potentially be. So we had this big vision, and I wrote a light paper back at the end of last year, around November timeframe, and we tossed it around internally. We shared it with certain clients and close friends, and they really liked the bigger vision of what we wanted to build. But like in any business, you need to start small, and so our January through March, April timeframe, we were kind of testing things out, just like any tech startup should. You come up with a hypothesis, you run experiments in the marketing, you see what gains traction and what doesn't, you do A/B split testing, you make changes, and then you do it again. So we've been doing that, trying to figure out what it is specifically is the perfect first step for us to kind of start moving forward in the direction of the bigger vision. And at first it started off with just being creating a fund, like a global fund. And we felt like it was too broad, and we got some traction, but we didn't get the desired results we wanted. So we changed it, and we said, okay, well, we do want to have a fund, right? We do want this to be an investment fund. We do, like, the bigger vision is to be a BlackRock, but running investments through the blockchain. So the first product or release that we backed into was doing an NFT project called Real Estate Tycoons. And the hypothesis was there's enough individuals that are investing in digital assets around the world that there probably is an interest in investing in real estate. And some individuals may not know how, some may know how but not have access. And some, might fit both those buckets, right? Mm-hmm. So we decided that we wanted to have education be a component of what we do. We wanted to provide transparency into a product or an investment product that I think a lot of people don't easily get access to unless you're like paying thousands of dollars and trying to watch gurus tell you something on YouTube. So like for us, just opening up the door, and we have sold apartment complexes, but the natural progression normally in our industry is somebody invests in a home, like a residential house, mm-hmm. and then they might buy another house and another house, and then at a certain point you buy a fourplex or an eightplex, and you try to start kind of scaling to where you can have multiple units all in one location, so you can stop driving around and pulling your hair out. We've sold apartment complexes, but our 90+% of our business is industrial investment properties, multi-tenant retail investment properties. We just closed a single tenant office building. We've sold vacant buildings. We've sold land. We're working in Corpus Christi right now, working with a couple clients that are looking at identifying land sites where they can build affordable housing on them as well. So we have this like breadth of commercial real estate investment experience where we could open the door up and be transparent and do videos and say, hey, look, here's an asset that's on the market. We're going to tour it, walk it, show them what we see, explain, what looks good, what doesn't, what questions we would have, how we write an offer, what terms we put in there and why. Just make ourselves available. A lot of stuff that you don't get access to in books, where you only get this like knowledge behind closed doors or by actually being a part of it. We wanted to open the door for those that are interested and kind of share that. So mm-hmm. The next step for us was marketing that, and we got traction on that. We saw and learned that there were people interested in the real estate utility aspect to this. And then we said, well, how can we do something that's completely different? Because it's not different for us to say, hey, we're going to teach you things, right? It's not that different. And so we came up with the concept of, well, can we create something that's a play to earn game that inherently will teach people to basically, like, within the game, build a portfolio of properties, office, apartments, retail, teach them how to lease up those digital assets, teach them how to track their returns, and through that also build in some like in real life rewards and prizes. Mm-hmm. So we started modeling that out, building out the game, building out what the economics would look like. and um, and tried to merge the two ideas: access to investment deals, education, but the gateway is through a game. We felt like there was a bigger audience out there within the crypto and NFT community looking for play to earn games. And if we could do that and we added utility to it, we felt like it made a lot of sense. Well, what we learned was it does invite a lot of people and make people interested. However, it's less so in the real estate. We kind of moved away from people looking at the real estate side of it, and we found a lot more people just wanting to play games, which is perfectly okay. This is all part of our like experimenting, learning, and trying to adapt, right? So what we decided to do a bit ago was let's scrap the play to earn game, and let's lean into what we know we do best, and then let's start onboarding our real estate network. So we've been in the business for 10, 15 plus years. We have connections with tech investors, real estate investors, business owners. Like the reach of the expertise and the capital that our team through our network has access to is mind-blowing down in Central Texas. And so as we started breaking down, okay, not just doing like an e-blast or sending out emails, but literally breaking down who can we call and introduce them to what we're building. And then go one by one down that list and start bringing in a foundation of this expertise and capital into a structured environment that we create for the community, where we can provide education, still do the transparency and access to investment deals, but it's not constrained. Like the environment and the educational aspect that I think that we're building right now through onboarding our network, the value is just so substantial. We could take anybody that has a really good idea or that forms teams within our community, and we can, we're going to have a community fund that can invest in those ideas, kind of like in a pre-seed round, right? So what we've pivoted to, and now we're having some success, like with building the community out, we've broken our Tycoons project into 4 phases. So Real Estate Tycoons is an NFT. It's a community-driven NFT, real estate and startup investment club. So you, as being a part of our club, we're going to have access AMAs, live mastermind groups. We're going to bring in this network of people that we know. They're going to share information. We have a community fund. We're going to try to promote startup ideas within our community. We're also going to be buying real estate properties as well. And I think there's through owning our NFT, there's a path to us being able to offer individuals within our community access to invest in those properties as well. And we plan on building a platform that will allow nearly anyone around the world to invest in commercial real estate assets that we upload to the platform. And so the vision, through just being a bit more deliberate as opposed to just opening up the door and trying to find a target audience, I think that we've now backed in and said, look, we want anybody around the world to be a part of this. And we want to add more value to this first. So we've got about 200 to 300 people that we're onboarding right now, and building out like a very strong foundation of people that are just very smart. And we're going to be building around them. So.
Yeah. You guys definitely have a lot more than I initially realized, because I know that when I read through it, it must have been now 2-3 weeks ago, maybe a month ago tops, but I know you guys had your the main focus was on the real estate. At least that's what you guys had announced at the time. I didn't realize that you had all these other aspects in different stages that you would be expanding into, like the investing into, seed rounds or that kind of thing with your own community run portfolio. So that's very, very interesting.
it,
Um,
it made so much sense. Like as we started speaking with our advisors,
mhm,
they said, "Look, we thought it was a fun experiment working on the play to earn game, and rightly so. It's very very out there,
mhm,
but backing up. And if you're going to try to really work and merge Web 2 and Web 3,
mhm,
then what we're doing right now is exactly that. Like we've got certain clients, we have certain investors. They don't have a MetaMask wallet, and so we're teaching them like in a safe, trusted environment. You know what MetaMask is, what an NFT is, what crypto is. They know and understand either a tech startup and investing in it or a real estate investment. And so we're bringing a bit of a different approach to them and trying to build, like we mentioned, a structured network that is collaborative, where there is value. They can participate as much as they want
mhm.
or as little as they want, but the structure is still there for us to have value go back to community to form teams, build ideas, learn about real estate, and we had a question yesterday come in and say, well, would the fund only fund real estate ideas? And I think that we want that to be open. If it's a good idea, and we've got good community members that have are in teams and building, we want to support the good ideas. It doesn't have to be real estate related, so that's okay. We obviously prefer something that's real estate related because our vision is building something related to the real estate blockchain economy. So
Mhm.
if it's got blockchain and real estate and it fits within the vision of what we want to build long term, that's even better. But we have other ways I think that we can build funds and see that vision through,
Mhm.
and still drive value back to Tycoon NFT holders.
Yeah, awesome. And how many NFTs will there be?
So there's going to be 7,777. The team's going to hold back 777 of them for marketing, promotional purposes. So 7,000 would end up being sold. We've sold in our pre-sale. We sold about. I have to do some airdrops today and tomorrow, but I think we're around 190 to 200 NFT sales. And
Mhm.
then over the past 2 to 3 weeks, we have sold, we've onboarded about out of that 200 to 250 ish in our network. We've onboarded 15 to 20 of them so far. And they're each
Yeah.
buying 10 NFTs at 500 each.
Yeah,
So,
you guys have definitely you're targeting an audience that is on a much grander scale as far as the amount of money some of these clients are going to have because of your experience and the connections that you guys have all built. So it's definitely an interesting model that relies a little bit less on the average investor, though you do have that ability for, the average person to get into it, the retail investor. So I
yes,
I
we had
think
the
it's
pre-sale and we had the whitelist where we had
mhm,
anybody could be a part of that. Phase two is only onboarding our professional network,
mhm,
and phase three of our mint is going to be based on an allow list or a whitelist that we're working through right now. So whenever we meet with other communities, whenever we do AMAs, we're providing select communities like Cardinal House. We're going to
mhm,
provide some whitelist spots to you guys to give to your community, and we have an application on our in our Discord as well. So what we're trying to do is, yes, we want retail capital, but we also want to bring in vetted, additional vetted people that are
mhm.
not on our list for phase two, because we don't just want a bunch of 60, 70, 80-year old, wealthy, high net worth people that aren't going to be in the Discord. I think that there's value in their expertise,
Mhm.
but at the same time, having a diverse community and everybody that are dreamers that are 18 years old and up, I think we want to have that diversity.
Yeah,
You got to
I
have the
love it.
youth in there too. Keeps me young.
That's awesome. That's awesome. I love the way that you guys are addressing it. It is almost you have that contingency where hey, we will have the fun, so it's not a worry here, and it's not again, it's not your primary income either. From my understanding, you guys are still very focused on real estate in your traditional business that you've established and have been running for 15 years. So
Correct.
that piece I think is very very solid, and you guys have worked together for majority of those years, I believe. Correct?
Correct. Well, yeah. The team has been majority of us have been together for the past 5 years.
Okay, awesome.
Yeah.
But with
But
that,
you're right. So like we've had questions that were, oh, so what are you going to do with the mint money? You're going to buy property. I think that we want to, our intention is to carve out funds from the mint money to buy properties that are specifically meant to build out the global platform for
hmm
tycoons. But we don't have to do that. We've already had a couple investors say, well, you can use one of my properties. We could use one of the ones that we own as well. We don't have to
hmm
go buy properties, but we think it's cleaner if we put together a fund that is specifically meant to do this approach with, because everybody's expectations, we're all on the same page at that point, and there's more transparency too from a community perspective because we can share. Here's the fund. Here's how we put it together. This is the amount of money. This is the leverage that we're looking at doing to make sure that it's safe. These are the assets we're identifying. These are the offers. Like from the beginning of the cycle to the end of it once it's purchased. I think there's a lot of fun and knowledge that can be shared with community as we go through that.
Yeah, yeah, I love to hear it. It is definitely a super solid model that you guys have built, and I think that the experience behind the team speaks a lot for what they're doing, and the fact that you guys are not only experienced in real estate, but you're directly using that experience for this new venture, right? It is like there is that learning curve that you guys had or that you'd mentioned that you guys have faced in the marketing piece, which is extremely interesting. But I love the fact that you guys have, from like your explanation at the beginning, you guys had, this problem that you wanted to solve. You went out, it didn't work. You kind of molded what that idea was, tried to suit the needs of the market a little bit better. Went, tried that, didn't work, a couple times. And then you finally found, okay, this gained some traction. Let's try and expand on this. And definitely a very solid business like mindset that I think a lot of people have trouble in when they switch into a new, not necessarily profession, but a new specific avenue that they're working through. So
I don't
it's
think just the people that when they make the switch, a lot of like tech startups are hard, and like
hmm
make no mistake, just because we've retitled it instead of NFT project
hmm
or Web3, it's a tech startup.
hmm
And they're not easy. They can be tiring, draining. You hit obstacles. Some people are not nice, and some people are. And you kind of have to like roll with the punches, stick to your vision, and make educated, smart pivots.
hmm
So, um, in the beginning when we were hitting roadblocks, it wasn't something that really phased us. We were like, okay, let's figure it out. It's problem solving. We have to do that all the time with
Yeah.
$1 million assets that we're working with clients on anyway. It's literally the same thing. We just, okay, back to the drawing board, back to the whiteboard. How do we problem solve this out and continue moving forward? So,
hmm Yeah.
um, we actually, to in the beginning, we were trying to somewhat keep it quiet from our network on what we were doing because one, we didn't want to say, "Hey, look at these elephants," and then they were like, "Well, guys, what are you doing with elephants?" Right? But um, we, as we've done this gone down this path and learned what we've learned, it has actually made for a much more interesting deal story when we're meeting with our clients and
hmm
introducing them to what we've been building. And it makes so much sense to them because some of them have been wanting to invest or us to find properties, and we buy them with them for a while now, and we
hmm
feel like this is a better way to do it. So like we're already scheduling in real life events and meetups starting next month, which is probably um, unheard of for NFT projects. You haven't minted out yet, right? We will still probably be in our phase two
hmm
of our mint, and we plan 4 phases. Whitelist would be phase three, and public sale would be phase four. But we're going to be having events in San Antonio, Austin, probably Houston, and Dallas as well in October and November.
Awesome.
We're
That's
already doing
super,
that.
super exciting. I'll have to see where you guys are holding these.
Yeah.
That's very, very interesting. And I really like the whole thought. It's just a way, I guess, for your community to get to know you a little bit better and kind of meet everyone on the team, I'm guessing.
That and quite a few people in our network
hmm
that we didn't realize were involved or had exposure to crypto.
hmm
They get what we're saying immediately. And then there's another segment of our network that they're familiar. Like, it's hard to not have heard about Bitcoin or Ethereum, right? So they're
Mm-hmm.
familiar with seeing it on CNBC News or something, but
Mm-hmm.
they don't know what NFT or non-fungible token means, and so there's a lot more hand holding that goes on with that. So what we're learning is that these events, these meetups, one, help us to share a story on what we're building.
Mm-hmm.
Two, it's a safe environment for them to come to in their traditional way of doing business, and us to introduce them to something new, right? And then three, we've learned that everybody we've met with, like, this is not even an exaggeration, but everybody we've met with has known 1, 2, 3, or 5+ people that they would like to bring in and have them be involved too. So instead of us trying to set 5 more meetings, some of these are going to allow us to have a lot of people all at one time. And if we have these events and we bring a bunch of people together, we're starting to do what we said we wanted to do anyway, which is bring all of our own network together to actually become a community and network together. So it makes a lot of sense to us.
Yeah, for sure, for sure. I love that kind of aspect that you guys are addressing both the community needs and then also the, I mean, kind of everything from what I said earlier, but the smaller investor can get in and get those benefits and meet the team and hear from these other people that are, maybe not as connected in the crypto space, and then likewise you have the same connections on the other side, so that you are covering your bases on both these avenues. And I think one of the other pieces I wanted to point out that definitely interests me is that you guys have a history working together, whereas a lot of teams come into a space, a lot of startups fail because of team conflict, right? But you guys have been
Yeah,
working together for a significant amount of time. You said 5 years, like for the most recent uh, people joining into what you guys are doing. Is that correct?
correct. Yeah.
Yeah. So minimum of 5 years, which is a significant enough amount of time to at least know how you guys work together, what the different roles you all fill, what your different skill sets are. So very, very awesome to hear that you guys have managed to do that. Do you have a timeline, kind of branching from that? Do you have a timeline on when things are being released, whether it be the metaverse education or the kind of the metaverse aspect of buying and selling, real estate, and trying to learn those pieces of that you'd kind of gone over?
Yeah. Yeah. So um, it's funny. We haven't even mentioned really metaverse since we've been talking, right?
Yes.
That's a good question. So the timeline is phase 2 for us. We're setting meetings. We're setting up in real life event meetups as well, and we're
Hmm.
onboarding our network. We're trying to do that through early mid October, and hopefully wrap up phase 2 and start preparing for phase 3. We ideally would like the whitelist um, phase 3 to happen sometime at the end of October, beginning of November. And then we would have a very short public sale, just depending on what supply would be left over from phase
Hmm.
2 and phase 3. Um, we are already in the process of organizing community events that we want to start having in October. And that would be meta events and in real life events. One of our
Hmm.
business advisors has worked with the Department of Defense for over 30 years, and very, very well known within the cybersecurity field. He has built a career on um, trying to work with universities to incorporate cybersecurity programs within the universities, and was
Hmm.
successful there. Also helped to organize and introduce curriculum to high school students, which could become feeders for those universities to have students interested in cybersecurity. And then on top of that, he has gone into middle schools and elementary schools, so that as they've gotten older, you just have a stronger element of candidates going into the universities and into the cybersecurity field. So curriculum and education, he has been brought on board to help us organize. And so, like, we have a curriculum for what we foresee working for real estate.
Hmm.
He's going to help us create that into a systematic approach for community through our Discord and through our website. as well as he's very familiar with throwing and organizing conferences that are statewide, local level, and national level type of events.
Hmm.
We would love to be able to build out Tycoon Island as our community's metaverse that can be visited by our Tycoon NFT holders. Where
Hmm.
when we do throw in real life conferences and expos, that we're able to connect our event into Tycoon Island so people can virtually attend as well as physically attend too.
Hmm.
That's something that I think that we're targeting for the first quarter of next year. And probably the closing the mint and then creating the fund that buys the properties. We ideally want to have that completed by the end of the year, first quarter of next year too, because with rates going up, the environment shifting, we feel like there's a lot of opportunity that's going to be coming down the pipeline to get really good investment deals on commercial real estate assets. So this is a good time to be building um, and buying with what we're trying to accomplish.
Gotcha. Yeah, I definitely think it's right now is that building phase for sure, and you guys are accomplishing a lot of that. So I guess in next coming months would be to look for some more updates on the whole metaverse idea and what you guys have
Yeah,
coming.
we haven't even decided on which platform that we would build that
Hmm.
out on. We kind of feel like we could use the Tycoon Island map that's on our website now, kind of as a beta to have
Hmm.
community events through. And then as we sell out the mint, then we have the community vote on which platform that they feel is the best one. And we do our research as well and kind of make a decision together on where to go. But I think post mint, it's something where we'll already be organized to have the community fund and start having kind of like startup events within our own community to be able to pre-seed fund ideas. And the real estate education will be started probably next month in a consistent manner, and as well as in real life meetups.
Hmm.
So some of the stuff before we've even closed mint, we're already going to already be doing.
Gotcha. Yeah, definitely makes sense. Um, and I guess the thing that I'm trying to I'm curious to hear your thoughts on are because you've gone into the reason that you've got you're going through real estate your whole path and thought process of when you started with your team all the way to now. What is the overall vision, like what is if you could accomplish one thing at the end of the whole real estate tycoon mission, what would that one thing be?
The vision, I think, is simplified by saying that we see the residential industry has always been much faster to adopt technology than commercial.
Hmm.
Commercial is a very legacy based industry with a lot of individuals. Like just as a culture, we kind of keep cards close to the vest. So I think that for us as a team, we like to internally think that we operate like a Navy SEAL team unit where we cover and move a lot for each other, and we're collaborative internally. So we'd like to have one of the values that we can build through this whole project be an actual community that works collaboratively together to build and learn.
Hmm.
Um, and we want that to tie into the big vision of the the real estate blockchain economy. So we want to start off with buying assets and then fragmenting them into NFTs and building a platform that allows nearly anybody around the world to invest in those assets.
Hmm.
That's kind of the tip of the iceberg, because when we say that, many people think, oh, great, break it into an NFT, and then now we can buy the NFT and I own the asset. But there's a lot more that has to happen
Hmm.
behind the scenes, and it's almost a parallel approach where there's title work, there's income and expenses, there's leases, there's a lot of moving parts there. So we foresee a lot of products and services needing to be built to actually fulfill the real estate blockchain economy. And what we
Yeah.
want to do is build Tycoons into a brand globally where we are one of the leaders in funding these ideas and building these products and services that support our community, because our community will be individuals that are probably in the space and they'll be able to use the tools that we're building.
Hmm.
So the idea is, and inherently, everybody that needs and wants these services, even if you were in Peru and you want to become an ambassador for Tycoons and start building a portfolio there, our community will have builders, it'll have access to capital, real estate expertise. You'll have the ability to do that, as well as we'll be building the software that allows you to actually provide something that's different in your market.
Yeah, for sure, for sure. And that's definitely an important piece that the infrastructure doesn't currently exist for, fractionalized real estate on a mass scale. And that's what it sounds like you guys are all doing. And also education on how real estate actually works and the way that you go about, getting involved and everything so that you might understand the decisions the team is making and also have some trust and it establishes some credibility for you all.
Right. I mean, ideally, like can we make tycoon NFT holders actual tycoons in life through
Mm-hmm.
the education, as well as if we do continue to be successful with driving back the value that we create and the value the community creates. So if we can be successful in driving the value back to the community and the NFT, then it's a no-brainer. Like we will want our holders to sell a couple of their NFTs. That'll bring new people into the community at that point. But
Mm-hmm.
they will have made hopefully profit in it, and they can diversify their investment into actual real estate investments and not just hold on to an NFT.
Mm-hmm.
That's community oriented. So like the goal is, can we create a community where we almost create like an index of commercial real estate, like a basket of goods where they can build a portfolio around um, real world assets, like actual commercial real estate investments, and the digital assets that are out there that we all love, flipping and holding and buying the art for, right?
Yeah, for sure. It definitely makes sense. And so, will this education platform be exclusive to NFT holders if that's the case?
Yes, in the beginning, we're going to be starting off with NFT holders only would have the access to, like, we'll probably have like intro level events. We will do some interviews with community members, guest speakers. Those will go up on YouTube. Like, I think that there's value that we want to create and give back to community, even if they're not a part of the community as an NFT holder. Um, so I mean, we even have an idea, if the value of the NFT were to get too big, creating some sort of scholarship program and carving out a portion of the 777 NFTs the team holds back, so that we can onboard people that don't have the funds to buy something that's really expensive, but are willing to learn and put in the effort. We want those active members in the community.
Mm-hmm.
So we're thinking of creative ways to onboard and not be as exclusive, and just create like a really expensive network where it's hard to get in. Um,
Yeah, the
so
exclusivity is huge.
yeah, so I think that to answer the question, I think there is intent on our end to provide the maximum value to NFT holders through the education, and it'll be real estate education and tech startup education. But also we do want to have certain events and education, interviews, videos, things that go out that anybody will be able to have access to, because I think that that's only right.
Awesome. Yeah, I kind of love. I mean, kind of. I really enjoy hearing about all these different aspects that you're trying to provide to those NFT holders outside of just some monetary gain, because I think a lot of people don't realize if you're starting fresh, the number one thing you can do is invest into yourself, and that would be learning, educating yourself on ways that you can actually increase the amount of money you have, which would include learning about real estate, how what is the best way to invest into real estate, learn from someone that's done it 1,000 times, and you'll try and take half the lessons away that you kind of hear from them. And I think that's
Yeah,
definitely a huge piece. So I love the way that you guys are going about it.
exactly. And there, there's very experienced tech people out there, or new builders learning
Hmm.
code, that are looking for industries to get into and build things. And so we want to be a good community where we can genuinely merge those, where we have the expertise to, like we mentioned, it could be a two-man team and they have an idea and it's pitched and they get pre-seed funding go build it. And they'll feel more confident, not just in getting some capital to go build something, but that it's been vetted by people that understand tech and that understand real estate. Right. So you'll feel a bit more confident that you're on the right path with what you're spending your time on.
Yeah, for sure, for sure. And kind of with that, I know that you mentioned that you're doing a bunch of infrastructure to allow for all these pieces. Are you guys all working closely um with a team of devs or a specific dev to build out that infrastructure, or um is it more just you guys hiring people to do that, or does one of you guys have experience in that?
So two of us have experience with programming and dev work.
Hmm.
When it comes to the educational side, we're very modern. And actually, even I say modern, I guess we're traditionally on modern, but like when it comes to building a startup, normally what you do is you do it manually until you understand what exactly works, and then you
Hmm.
build out the tech to automate it.
Hmm.
So I think in the beginning right now, we're organizing a very specific curriculum,
Hmm.
specific days, and uh, this phase two network of individuals we're bringing in, we're not just asking for them to um, listen to our pitch, give them exposure to NFTs and crypto, and then they're a part of a community. We want them to give back to the community as well. So, when we're meeting with multimillionaire real estate investors, developers, we've got attorneys, title agents, brokerage shop owners, property managers, like the list goes on and on. We want them to share some of their experience back into the community. So it's not hard to start seeing this curriculum fill out. And it's not just you listening to me. It's
Hmm.
like today we're having, Mr. X come in. This is his experience. This is um, his resume. And what he'd like to specifically talk about today is why topic. So
Uh-huh.
um, so yeah, I think that in the beginning it's going to be a lot of video recordings, live AMAs, live videos as well. And over time, I think that there's a couple things we can do. We'll be recording everything, so will have content, right? Content creation can be IP. Um, and we'll also start to have more community members come in. And I think that that's where it becomes even more interesting, because I think community is going to have ideas, thoughts, and expertise that we will probably have gapped in with the network, right? So it'll be, as we mentioned before, community driven.
Yeah, yeah, it definitely makes sense. And kind of with the experience that you guys have, is there some kind of LLC that people can kind of look into to see the credibility? Because I know people, especially in this space, we always push it. Do your own research, right? And so is there a group that they
Docs.
could look into?
Yeah. Yeah, we're doxed. It's on our website. If you go under team, actually, if you go under facts on the Tycoons website, the
Hmm.
very first question is who's the team? And it speaks a little bit about our team, like in a summary.
Hmm.
Um, we've 100% self-funded this, even though we've been offered investment multiple times.
Hmm.
Um, we've closed over $1 billion in commercial real estate investment deals, and we own and operate a commercial real estate investment services firm. And then the name of our company, Obsido Commercial, and their website's right there.
Awesome,
So
awesome, awesome. Love to hear it. Um, and yeah, have we missed anything? Anything that you wanted to really touch up on before then? Because I would hate to to miss out on maybe a key piece that you guys have coming up soon.
the big no, I think the only thing we haven't touched on is that we do plan to have a native utility token within the ecosystem that we're building. But to us, I think most people push that as like big value. Honestly, I think that the education, the community fund, the in real life events, the buying of the properties and the platform we plan to build, those are a lot more exciting, in my
Hmm.
opinion, because it's not hard to create. It's not hard to create a token. It's
Hmm.
harder to create an ecosystem where that token actually creates value, throughout.
Yes.
Um, but we have some fun plans for our Tycoon coin. A really good example would be like if you own um, multiple Tycoon NFTs, you can stake them, you earn or you yield back Tycoon coin. At the point in time where we build the fund and we start buying properties, in order to get your allocated spot within buying that property, you burn some of your Tycoon coin to get it. So I think that from there, we are only going to be bringing in the very beginning the most committed people into actual real estate investment deals. Um, that just one example. So if you're not staking it, that's okay. You still have access to everything else, but you'll have limited access as you get further into the journey of tycoons and Tycoon Island that we're trying to build.
Yeah, for sure. For sure. We actually have someone raising their hand. Is that someone from the team? I believe it is. Is that correct?
It's not. It's one of our community members.
Awesome.
He
From
followed
because I've
us in
seen the
here.
name in the Discord.
Yeah.
I can bring him up to see if he has a question that works with you.
Sure. He generally pings me with some difficult questions. So,
Hey, how's it going?
Hey man, can you hear me well?
Yes.
Okay, so we're talking about the token now, and I think it's really important to clarify. Is it gonna be a pump and dump token if it ever happens?
yeah, good question. I think that so back when we were starting to build out the play to earn game, the same question arose because there's a lot of play to earn game that came out the beginning of the year, like Creeps, for example, Axie and Infinity, where you have people playing the game purely, either themselves or in guilds to get more of the coin in order to export it out of the game to make money, right? Like swap it for Ethereum or something else. And if we were building a token that did that, and that was the purpose of it, we would be creating a security. So for us, it's not funding liquidity for the Tycoon coin. It's the Tycoon coin being worth. If we do a good job at what we're trying to build with the ecosystem, that Tycoon coin should be worth burning so that you have access to an investment asset. It should be worth you using to buy something that gives you additional access within the community. So it's not a coin that we plan on trying to build like an Ethereum competitor or some sort of DeFi protocol around. I think there's better ways to do that. I think that it makes a lot of sense if we build out the ecosystem that we're heading towards. This does provide additional value back to community. So it makes a lot of sense. And that's why a lot of projects do it. At a certain point in time, they create those coins. So it should not be a pump and dump. The value should come from our ecosystem, not from swapping it for something else and just, buying an NFT, staking it, getting coin and leaving. Because that generally doesn't lead to them being a good community member. They're probably not active in the community. They're probably just, trying to earn a coin to swap it to make money.
Yeah, for sure. For sure. And I think that's a very, very important thing when talking about a token in general is having some real utility behind it, having some real incoming revenue behind it, which is the biggest thing projects struggle with, not having enough revenue to back what, you see all these rebasing projects, not having the revenue to back whatever rebasing mechanism is happening or whatever play to earn mechanism is actually being given, because there's only so much LP. So there has to be some LP added if you're going to have some, more tokens being not, even if they're not minted, if they're not in the, supply, if they're in a separate wallet, technically it's not, circulating supply. So it's the same as minting new tokens for however long that runway lasts. So people need to have that. You need to have that incoming revenue for that to work. So definitely an important thing to address. And it'll be interesting to see how the revenue streams kind of affect, the supply of the circulating supply of your token.
Well, what's something that we haven't even mentioned is royalties from Nft sales.
Mm-hmm.
Like we don't even have that built in. It's kind of like when we underwrite assets, we never underwrite appreciation. We're not underwriting any royalties in there. Like we feel like the income that we would be generating from real estate investments, the income we would be generating from pre-seed capital, the income that we generate from conferences and real life events. There's enough of a historical model from the traditional world that we feel like we can make money from all of those to fund future development and growth of the project. So the coin itself, where we're looking at the value being is, again, if let's say we've closed mint, we've minted out, and 30 days later we put together the fund. which tycoons want to have access to investing in that fund with us. Right? There's ways to do that through, the regulatory environment that exists where, okay, but we can't open it up to all 7,000 or 2,000 holders or whatever they end up being. But there will be a segment of them that have been staking. And so we'll have X number of spots that are open, and whoever takes their tycoon coin and then purchases their spot are going to be the first ones that have access. Now, if we're investing in startups and other software and business ideas, there's other ways to spend the tycoon coin. Like, you could be a beginning investor seeking capital for deals, and if you find a deal and you want to reach out to the network to the community, and you want to network and be able to present something to the community and find capital, okay, well, you spend your tycoon coin, and now you have a way to hit everybody and not just try to, one-off communicate with people. So there's a lot of different ways, like similar to an e-blast, right? You can go to a website, you can pay money, and maybe they e-blast it to their email list. We want the community to find value and ways to network with each other. And so if we can help do that by creating protocols or tools that allow them to do that by spending their tycoon coin, that makes a ton of sense for us.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it definitely makes sense. Yeah, everything kind of ties together in the end, very in a nice little neat package. So I like the different pieces. It'll be definitely interesting to see like any kind of graphic written up to explain, because the token, I think, is probably the most complex piece that would require a little bit more of that, at least for myself. I'm so much of a visual person, it's hard for me to like connect all the dots in my head. But yeah, I think it sounds like it kind of ties it nicely with everything else that's going on with the community governance or the community pitches per se.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, and I want to be respectful of your time. But I really appreciate you coming on. And I guess the one last question that I have before we wrap up this AMA would be, if you could recommend one lesson that you've learned in your real estate career that someone either goes and, it can just be like a summary of it, but someone goes and tries to either do some research on or try and take this and really, really put this together in any kind of real estate deal or any kind of real estate research that they're getting into, what would that lesson be? You could tell yourself one thing back when you'd started.
Yeah, I think that what most people, and this is not just real estate, but what most
Mm-hmm.
people gloss over, and even my wife to this day, we were talking about this last night. She, out of the blue, like about a month and a half ago, said, "I think I want to run the marathon next year." And I was blown away because I've run the marathon multiple times, and I was like, "There's no way this little lady is going to run 26.2 miles." But she goes, "No, I mean, like I want to run the half marathon, which is 13." I said, "Okay, that's closer." But it was exciting to me because people get comfortable and they get complacent. And I really, really liked the fact that I knew she was putting herself out there, and it was going to be very uncomfortable because it was going to take a lot of training to do that.
Mm-hmm.
And the moment she started mentioning, and I mentioned, okay, 13.2 miles. The moment I mentioned that, I could see on her face that it was an intimidating number. Right?
Mm-hmm.
Immediately, she was looking at the very top of a mountain climb. And I think most people, they do that and they get burnt out really quickly with whatever they're doing, whether it's working out to lose weight, building a new business, everything. You look at this grand vision and we try to envision ourselves at the top of the mountain, and we feel like that should be the motivating factor that gets us from the bottom of the mountain to the top of the mountain. But what most people don't realize is that by doing that, what you're trying to do is 100% of the time have an emotional connection to the top of the mountain and hope that motivates you. But you cannot make it to the top of the mountain with pure emotion. There are certain days that you need to combat emotion with logic. And there's this balance between the two. And Kobe Bryant actually did a really good job of breaking it down into kind of like a story mindset for himself, where there's like this fortune cookie. And sometimes within the fortune cookie, there's positive news, like positive reinforcement. And then sometimes there's, I'm going to ground you in reality. Remember, this guy said you couldn't do it. So the balance back and forth is remembering where you are today, not looking at the top of the mountain. There's moments in time when you should look back to the top of the mountain. right? And we have good rhythms in our schedule to do that. You can say it's the weekend every 7 days. You look back and reflect on your week, or you can look monthly and you can reflect on your month, or 90 days per quarter, reflect on your quarter. And then at that time, in that moment, you can say, okay, I'm reflecting on the past 90 days. What have I done? What did I do well? What can I improve on? But looking ahead, how does this tie in? Like the next 90 days, what do I need to do to get to my 1, 2, or 3 year goal? What's my North Star? But every single day, I'm not looking at the North Star. Every day, I need to take specific and deliberate moments to realize and enjoy the journey. Because the day you get to the top of the mountain, the day that my wife finishes her 13.2 mile race, that sense of accomplishment is not in that moment. I mean, it is, she feels it, but it's earned through the 3 months that she's going to be training to get through the finish line, right? You remember the 3 months. That's what drives the feeling at the end. So, that's what I would do. I would be deliberate every single day and knowing what you're doing and enjoying it. And if you're not enjoying it, that's okay. You're earning something that's bigger, but every day is really important. So you have to tackle every day just as much as you would think you should be doing every day, like when you're on top of the mountain. It's learning to be comfortable in an uncomfortable environment.
Yeah, I love
That's
it.
how
I
you
love it.
grow.
That's a really, really awesome look, and I love the relation to Kobe. I'm surprised you didn't know that right off the top of your head. It seems like everything kind of relates back to to thoughts there.
What's crazy is that internally, like I have talked all my partners and clients' ears off on Kobe Bryant, and so now when I'm going outside of that bubble, I speak about him less because if it's internally, they are like, "Oh my God, another Kobe analogy." So,
Gotcha. That's awesome. That's awesome to hear. But yeah, I really appreciate you for coming on, and I appreciate everybody for tuning into this AMA. And I'm sure we'll have you guys on again in the future, and definitely will be looking for the things to come with Real Estate Tycoons.
we enjoyed being here, and thank you for having us, Chris.
Yeah,
Let
thank
Zach
you.
know that we say thank you as well.
I definitely will. But have a wonderful day, and we will catch you soon.
All right, later, guys.